Welcome to my LGBT lesbian channel. The series Checkmate, Stripper and Dance for Me are voiced for you in full history. Thank you for your comments, reactions and subscription to my channel. Have a nice day everyone. I don't feel fit to do so anymore, Brandon. It wasn't what I was looking for when I came to New York. It's making me stray away from my plans, and I know that I need to show dedication if I want to rise in this precinct, but I don't want to continue with it. You know, Lauren, he started walking down the corridor in slow steps. Christopher ordered me to take you from the position of his wife private security guard. He said you two had some disagreements during these past few days. Are your motives those as well? I couldn't tell the commissioner that my motives were far beyond those, so I just nodded. It's not only because of that, it's just not what I want for me. I understand, you have the ambition for something bigger. And I believe that you'll succeed, but remember that you need to show dedication. I know, I let out dryly. If you want you can put me as another person's private security guard, since even Mr. Collins doesn't want me to take care of his wife. All right, I'll see what I can do for you, okay? I just nodded and followed the man to his office. Brandon handed me some of the reports that I had requested as soon as I arrived at the precinct. We talked for a few more minutes, and then I returned to my office. All the images and events that happened during the kidnapping kept playing in my head constantly, as if it was impossible to forget. Until hearing light knocks on the glass door, showing one of the police officers on the other side. The young man gently informed me that Brandon was waiting for me in his office with a few more people, so I quickly headed to the office. Inside the room was the businessman accompanied by his wife. Camilla stared at me with her intense gaze, unlike her husband who didn't even lay eyes on me. Brandon was sitting on his chair, and I just walked further into the room. Good morning. Good morning, she answered, and Christopher just gave me a cold look. Lauren, Mr. and Mrs. Collins are here to clarify some situations from the last few days. And they asked me to call you. I'm sorry, clarify what? I asked confused as I stopped before the couple. Our misunderstanding, Agent Yaregui. Collins spoke as he got up from the chair, buttoning the buttons of his gray blazer. I believe that you must know that I ordered your dismissal from the position of my wife's private security guard, right? I lifted my head and stared at the light eyes of the man in front of me, who casted me a challenging look. Yes, I heard, Mr. Collins. But don't worry about that. Earlier today I resigned from the position. What? I heard Camilla gasp. A smirk was born on Christopher's lips, and then he turned towards the Latina, who carried an expression that was at least confused. See, honey, all of this is unnecessary. Lauren herself wants out. His voice tone was sarcastic, making me feel like puking. Can you tell me why? The brunette approached, stopping in front of me. Camilla and I had a great intimacy, but hidden from everyone else. I stared at her, making her realize how close we were. The woman just swallowed hard and straightened her spine, taking a step back. I don't think that it's safe for you or good for me to be your private security guard after what happened, Mrs. Collins. I have to agree with you on that, Christopher added. Well, I don't see any problem. And it was exactly why I came here. Christopher came to apologize for his rudeness, right? Honey? The woman stared at him, persuasive, almost in an order masked by niceness. The smile on his lips died, and then he looked at me. Of course, I believe that I was somewhat rude to you, and that is not part of my way of acting. His steps were slow towards me. But I want you to know that I'm still against your permanence as my wife's private security guard. I imagine you are. Yes, I am. However, my wife believes in your work and in the guarantee that she's safe under your protection. So that's why I want to ask you to continue taking care of her. My eyes stared at him, and I knew he didn't want that, but he was too tamed by his wife to go against her. I looked away from his light eyes to look at Camilla's chocolate ones. So, Agent Yaregui, do you want to continue being my private security guard? She asked as she stood beside her husband. In that moment I fought an internal battle about staying or not. I couldn't deny that being the Latina's private security guard had been better than I expected. Being in her presence yielded me some very interesting moments. However, dangerous. Carta wasn't afraid of danger. She took risks constantly to keep our relationship. And for me, who was easily dominated by the brunette's gift of seduction, it ended up being inevitable. Well, I took a deep breath, flashing a somewhat petulant smile, to then take 3 slow steps forward, passing by the businessman and stopping in front of the Latina. If you enjoyed my work that much, I don't see any reason for me to stop exercising it. I turned to Christopher, still smiling. It's always a pleasure to work with Mrs. Collins. Great, Brandon exclaimed. So it's all settled. Christopher raised one eyebrow and nodded unwillingly. I exchanged a quick glance with Camilla, who just shook her head, flashing that familiar cynical smile. Now that everything is handled, I'm going back home with my wife. She received medical orders that she needs to rest, but was stubborn enough to come to this meeting. I imagine you have to take care of yourself, Mrs. Collins. I'll do that, thank you. We all said goodbye, and then I saw the couple leaving the precinct arm in arm as if they were the perfect couple with a perfect life. Little did others know. I said goodbye to Brandon, and to the rest of the girls. Luckily I'd have the rest of the afternoon and evening off. Upon arriving home, I took a warm and long bath, putting on light clothes as I took care of thinking about what I'd do for dinner. In those hours I didn't want to know about the investigation, police or thefts. For a moment, I'd just be Lauren. I stayed for a few minutes in the kitchen, just grabbing all the necessary ingredients to prepare my dinner, when suddenly I heard the soft ring of my doorbell. I wiped my hands on the cloth that was on the counter and walked towards the door. I wasn't expecting visits, especially not at 10 p.m. When I opened the door, I came across my unexpected visit. "Missed me?" she asked with a smirk. Camilla had several plastic bags on her hands. I frowned and quickly helped, holding some so that she could enter my house. Unlike usual, she wasn't all dolled up. She was wearing casual clothes like navy blue shorts and a white blouse that left good part of her left shoulder showing. Her hair was tied in a messy bun, which left some strands of hair loose near her nape. Am I interrupting? Oh, no, I'm just surprised with your visit. Didn't you have medical orders to rest? I asked as I grabbed the other bags from her hands. You should be being looked after, Camilla. Exactly why I'm here. I dumped the bags on the counter, and by the packages inside I could see that Camilla was hungry. What do you mean? I turned to her. I thought that you could take care of me. I know it's your day off and that you want to rest. She inched closer, stopping in front of me, but I wanted to be in your company. Where's your husband? He didn't complain about you leaving at this hour? Well, she flashed a mischievous smirk. He's sleeping. Camilla, I shook my head. What, Lauren? It's just one sleeping pill. He'll sleep like a baby. I'll be back before he wakes up. You are crazy. You know that, right? I know. She smiled and wrapped her arms around my neck. She wasn't wearing makeup, which made her bruises more visible too. Me. I lifted one of my hands and slid the tip of my fingers on the mark, making her close her eyes. I'm not wearing makeup as to not irritate my skin. I look awful, I know, and I'm sorry. I tilted my head slightly forward, and with all the delicacy in the world, I kissed the bruise on the Latina's face, who sighed deeply as she felt my lips on her skin. You look beautiful, don't worry. We stared at each other for a few seconds, and in that moment something different settled between us. Camilla remained with her eyes fixed on mine, until looking away and walking towards the counter. I brought food. I don't know if you already had dinner, but I'm starving. Do you like chicken? She asked as she removed the packages from the bags. I love it, it's my favorite food. We were sitting on the living room floor, while watching some movie that was playing on TV. We even ate there. Camilla was sitting next to me as she savored the chicken that she brought from a wonderful restaurant downtown. We kept a casual conversation about random subjects about our life, as we drank juice, since I forbade the woman to drink wine. She complained for a long time, but she realized that nothing would change my mind. So your father now lives in Miami? Yes, he moved there with my sister Taylor. It's all very recent. You seem to only be attached to your family, she said as she cleaned the corner of her lips with a napkin. It has always been like that until... I stopped and shook my head. Until? Never mind, Camilla. She stared at me intensely, but soon looked away. Don't go falling in love with me, Lauren. A smirk was born on her lips. I left the glass on the table and made a face at her. Camilla laughed and lay down on the living room carpet, leaving her legs bent. I accommodated myself between them, resting my hands on the floor, on each side of her head. I stared at her face that carried a lively expression. I'm not in love, I murmured. Camilla brought her hands up to the collar of my shirt, pulling me closer to her. No, are you sure? I had her mouth very close to mine now, a little more and I'd kiss her. I felt the brunette's legs trapping my body, preventing me from backing away. I rested my arms on the carpet next to her head, our faces almost touching. Shut up, I whispered. Make me. With pleasure. I felt Camilla's hand sliding down my back as soon as my lips joined hers in a slow kiss. I don't know for how long we stayed. There, lying on the living room carpet between kisses and caresses, but after a few minutes the brunette decided that she wanted to lie on the couch, and so we did. After all, I still felt my whole body sore due to the last few days in captivity. Do you want me to give you a massage? She asked. You've been so nice lately, I'm afraid that you're trying to kill me. I joked, receiving a light slap. Bitch, I should always be bossy with you, it's the only way for you to respect me. She grumbled as she sat on the couch. I let out a loud laugh, which made her pout sweetly. I put my legs over her thighs, trapping her body to mine. It's not my fault if you never seemed innocent to me, Mrs. Collins. I held her chin, forcing her to look at me. I never said I was, Lauren. And you're not afraid of being caught? It's not the fear that moves me. It's my goals, she said with a confident voice tone, that voice tone that was so Carla. And my goal now is to give you a good orgasm. Just give it to me. With pleasure, Deputy. Oh. If you like that I voiced the continuation of the series Stripper and want me to continue, please like and write a comment on the video. This will be an incentive to continue working on translation and dubbing.